Okay, so how do you say you're absolutely amazing in Japanese?
No, don't need to say
So
that.
what would be the proper way for me to thank
Well, no,
you
I
for
want
this?
you to say that to me.
So just Big さんね、すごい偉い人だね。
Oh, sugoi. Yeah.
Down on the strip where the neon glows, there's a little shop everybody knows, where history's bought and treasures are sold. Gold and silver, stories unfold. When the doors close and the lights dim low, Rick and Chum kick back, friends they get to know. Gold and silver by day, but at night, my friend, Pawn After Dark is where the stories and laughter never end.
Welcome to Pawn After Dark. Rick, today we have one of my favorite experts, Mike Yamasaki. We call him in to help appraise and evaluate our swords of all type, but mostly our Japanese swords. Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm fine, and this is interesting. It's different than the norm of what we usually do, right? So,
It is, yes.
yeah.
But the best part about it is we still get to listen to Rick talk.
That's true, you know.
I mean, like, just less hate, dude. Like, yeah.
It's all love. It's all love. So,
Yeah.
Mike.
You want to hear me talk some more?
No, we'll hear you talking a little bit. Let's get a little backstory from Mike here, and then I'm sure you'll chime in when you see fit. We love hearing you talk, Rick. That's the best part about it.
Okay.
So, give me a little background about where you started and what your background actually is, because we know you as like the sword expert. Would you consider yourself a sword expert, and if so, how did it all start?
Well, what I do a lot of is, appraise Japanese swords and antiques, mostly Japanese swords. I specialize. I, in a sense, don't call myself an expert because my teacher is still alive and he is the expert and everybody knows who he is. So
who is your teacher?
Mr. Tanobe in Japan, and he was the head of the Japanese Sword Museum of their certification committee. And everybody still goes to him for advice. I mean, he's just...
I'm sure he's very proud of the good light that you put on Japanese swords over the years with us.
Well, he always told me to kind of just educate people correctly. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have won the national championship either. So I owe him dearly, for my career.
So you won the national champ. What kind of national championship? Like sumo wrestling or in blades?
It's actually, yeah, unfortunately, sumo wrestling is past my prime. So it's an appraisal championship where we put out 5 swords and we can't see who made it. So we can't see the tang. And we have 1 minute to tell who made it just by looking at the upper portion of the blade and its characteristics. So each sword is 20 points. 100 points is a perfect score. And nobody ever gets perfect, to this day. So I entered several local and smaller challenges. And then they threw me into the deep end of the pool, into the national one, which 187 people entered that time.
Now, is that in Japan or is it here in the States?
That's in Japan, and it's the All Japan Championship. So I am supposedly the only non-Japanese citizen to ever win the national contest.
Okay. That's pretty impressive. I would say that might make you an expert.
I call it an educated amateur.
Okay. All right.
Well, you are somewhat of an expert. You're kind of my sensei because you did teach me how to swing a sword in record time. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but you gave me some pointers, taught me what to do. I went home and practiced, and the next day, you said that I did a pretty good job when I had cut through the bamboo, I think it was, right?
When I taught you how to cut and had only basically 1 hour to teach you, that was pretty amazing that you pulled it off the next day. I was impressed.
Well, in typical Chum fashion, I waited until I got to work the next morning to actually practice.
Well, the funniest thing was when we were just about to shoot the scene, Corey was there. And then all of a sudden we're going to do it. And then I went behind Corey and goes, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Oh." So I'm kind of hiding behind Corey. All of a sudden the light bulb went on. He's like, "Oh," and it was too late by then.
Well, Corey loves swinging swords too. So
Okay. So you're not a Japanese citizen. So where did you grow up?
Well, I'm born and bred in Los Angeles. I'm a 3rd generation Japanese American. Basically, that means that I am American citizenship of Japanese heritage.
Okay.
And my grandparents came from Japan to live in the United States, in Los Angeles. Then my parents are what are called Nisei, or second generation. And I am a product of them being the third generation, and my children now are the fourth generation.
Okay. And so, I mean, why did you decide to get into swords?
My grandfather. So my grandfather loved watching those bloody, crazy samurai movies, that they used to show. And, the guy gets cut and it goes, psst, and there's blood splurting everywhere. And, he was supposed to be babysitting me while my mother went to work. And he would take me when I was 6, 7, 8 years old to the Japanese movie theaters to watch these really no-rated violent movies. So I still remember to this day where the guy got cut in his head and his head split open and goes, psst,
The special effects were so much better.
Oh, no, they were awesome back then. Those movies are so classic,
Yeah. But when
So-
you're 6 years old, it's real.
Yeah. So for some reason, when I was 10, I started martial arts, and I actually bought my first real sword. I saved up all my Christmas and birthday money, and my parents, not being very bright about weapons, said, "Oh, you want to buy a sword? Okay." So I was 12 years old, 13 years old, and I bought our first real katana, and I actually used it for practice.
And so do you go to a sword maker for this, or how do you get your first
No, it was
sword?
actually a World War II bringback.
Okay.
And we bought it out of a guy in San Diego. And I remember to this day, it was $175.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
no.
what year was that?
Jeez, that's 50 years ago.
Okay.
So I think back now as a parent, and my boys take karate and stuff. When I was young, we played with swords and sickles and nunchakus and all these real weapons because they didn't have fake ones back then. I wouldn't let my kids touch those things with a 10-foot pole today,
Well,
What's
parents
like-
are soft today.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
no.
I'm right around your age, and I remember being like 10 years old and getting a BB gun for Christmas.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah, I've definitely had plenty of butterfly knives in my childhood days. So,
Oh, I got scars from those.
what kind of training does it take to actually, start getting into the sword world, start appraising these things, and do you still teach yourself stuff?
Well, I still go to my teacher every 2 or 3 times a year to go study with him. And he's 80 years old this year, so I want to take him a special birthday present as a thank you for always seeing me and spending time with me. He's such a nice man. It's true. The people who really know aren't stuck up, in that sense. And they're not trying to show off. He's the nicest man, you'll never guess he's the number one guy in the entire world. So, as Rick, knowledge is everything, right?
Yeah.
And when you have the true knowledge, you don't have to think about anything else. You have all the truth right there at your hands, your fingertips. So when I was first studying here, we were part of a group that would go around the country and buy Japanese swords that were brought back by the military during World War II. So there was about 2 million swords brought back from Japan just by souvenirs and stuff, and they were in pawn shops or people's garages or whatever, and we would go around putting ads, appraising, and buying stuff, and we would probably pull 200 to 300 swords a month.
Wow.
All right.
And so out of the pile of 200 or 300 swords, I would study every one of them too, and so that gave me my foothold to learn how to really look at a Japanese sword. Because how often do you get to go through like a pile of 300 guns just to study Colts, like all of a sudden every month?
That'd be really cool. Because during World War II, these GIs, because they the military confiscated the swords, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and they were supposed to be destroyed, but all the GIs were just grabbing them and bringing them home as souvenirs. So, and the GIs had no idea what they were getting. So some of them were just getting World War II issue swords that were made during World War II, but other people were, I'm going off to war. Let me grab the family sword from 1387, and But when the GIs bought, none of the GIs knew how old they were, or knew anything about it. They just brought the Japanese swords home.
That's the whole thing. So, like Akabane, which is a collection point in Tokyo, there were 750,000 swords in there. So, when they said, "Hey, Rick, Chum, you want a couple? Go get some." You just grabbed it, and who knows what you ended up with. You could have ended up with a $300,000 sword or a $10 sword. I mean, it was just luck
So,
of the
are there
draw.
any? Is there a sword out there that, say, the Japanese culture is looking for that they haven't found yet that they hope one day surfaces?
There are actually several, and I've actually been asked to look for one of them. Well, everybody knows the Honjo Masamune because of all this hype on the TV and everything like that.
I don't know about it. Tell me.
So supposedly this sword was like the symbol for great victory in the Japanese war, and it's also made by one of the most famous swordsmiths. And it's supposedly national treasure level, but it's missing. It was turned in as they were required to, during the time of the weapons give up, and it was taken to a police station and it vanished. So nobody knows where it really is technically. Then there's another sword in this country that's really long, and it is the longest, like Rai Kunitoshi, who's a famous smith from the 1300s, that was stolen from the Aso shrine in Kyushu, and it was the temple's treasure, and that's the oldest temple in Japan apparently. So it got destroyed during the last earthquake in Kumamoto, the entire temple, so they're rebuilding it right now. And they asked, it would be really great if we could find the sword to return it back to the temple if it.
Yeah. So it's possible. It's mostly. It wouldn't be surprised if it's in someone's attic or garage right now.
Totally not. I mean, I've seen swords pop up in the weirdest places. I mean, umbrella stands. I mean, there's the story of the lady who used a big 1300s tanto, dagger for carving her turkey every year. And she said it cut great.
I bet it did.
Oh no, because that stuff happens all the time. I bought an Olympic medal off a guy once, and I'm like, where did you get this? He goes like, all I know, it was a 1960s Olympic medal, and guy goes, it was in my dad's garage. My dad passed away, and like, he was definitely no athlete. It just was in a shoebox in his garage, and we have no idea how it popped up. So weird things pop up everywhere.
Well, yeah, I mean, because the Japanese Americans, during their time, they were either interned or asked to go fight during World War II, and they fought in Europe. And a lot of them had received Purple Hearts. And when I did appraisal work for some of the families, we were looking through boxes and everything, and we found the Purple Heart for them. I go, did you know he even had this? It's like their grandpa. I mean, it's amazing, It's like just put away, and nobody even knew it existed in the family. The nation's highest, honor, right? So this country is so huge. People don't really realize how big America really is. Stuff could be anywhere. It's amazing. So I'll tell you one true story, which is really interesting, is there was a guy who was a floor sweeper in Michigan Ford Company. He went to a garage sale. He bought a Japanese sword because he thought it was cool for $65. That sword, I ended up doing an appraisal for the guy, my friend who bought it, for $135,000.
It's pretty good. So how often do you do private appraisals for people?
Well, it comes in batches, apparently, whenever somebody passes away or whatnot, then they always have the enough time when it's okay to have stuff checked to see if they could start selling it and things like that, So it's pretty consistent throughout the year.
Okay. So how often have you went to go appraise some swords for some people, and they're just junk, and they get mad at you because you tell them it's junk?
The funniest one was there was a group of 4 brothers and sisters. I got asked to appraise one sword that was supposed to be really, really big money. I get there. Each one of them at the table had their own lawyer, and they weren't talking to each other. Only the lawyers were talking. So they were all mad at each other, the siblings and everything, and the sword's on the table, and I'm like, I look at it and I go, I'm going to write down what I feel its current value is. And then you guys can pass it around, but I'm not going to say a word. They were expecting $60,000 to $70,000. It turned out to be a fake signature of a very famous name, but the sword was not good at all, and it was valued at $1,500.
Did they start talking after that?
Oh, there was a lot of grumbling, I'll tell you that. And I was laughing because I was telling my friend about this, and he goes, yeah, that didn't even pay for the lawyer fees. So, yes, you see a lot of different scenarios and things. And one time I went to a guy's house, and he had 1,000 of the sword guards. 1,000 of them.
1,000 the sword, what?
The subas, the hand guards of the sword.
Okay.
You know what a suba is, Rick?
It's short for Subaru?
Almost.
Close enough, right?
Nice try.
That's what, yeah. Okay, never mind.
So I was just like amazed, like, where did he get 1,000 of these things, And it was really funny. So he had a foot locker too. We opened up, and it had parts of the handle that, that go underneath the wrap. And I'm going, there was thousands of them inside this foot locker. I'm going, where did you get it? And he goes, apparently they had nothing to do while they're in occupation mode in Tokyo. So they played cards, right? Since they were told to destroy the swords, they stripped all the fittings off them and used them as poker chips because they didn't have poker chips. True story. True story. Isn't that amazing, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, history's crazy.
Right?
Did you find some Jim Subas in there and we're like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have found this complete sword?
Well, I mean, it was amazing because everything was junk mixed up with good. I mean, it was just all together. I mean, the Foot Locker with all the Manuki, I offered them $1,000 because I said, you know how long it's going to take me to find, because they're in pairs. Do you know how long it would take to find the pairs in that box? Oh my God, I would have to hire like 20 people just to do this. So
No. No, it sounds, I mean, you got a really interesting job. I mean, it sounds like a fun job. So how often do you go to Japan?
I go to Japan every 2 to 3 times a year. I used to have a different schedule before COVID. And then after COVID, they had to kind of change it again because, the world really changed after that. So travel became weird. Then all of a sudden, Japan became like the high point of travel for the entire world.
Yeah.
And I'm going, gee, why? Why does people want to go to Japan? Because it's clean, nice, good food, and nice people? Who wants that?
Yeah. Well, it's also the Japanese yen is like really low right now, so it's way less expensive to go there now than it was maybe 5-10 years ago.
It's amazing to me. I can go to Japan, and for the conversion rate, $6 get handmade noodles plus a side dish with like a donburi with, tempura or something over rice set for $6.
Out here, that's about 24.
But no tip either.
Yeah. Rick would love that. He's
I
the
mean-
cheapest tipper I've ever
I
met.
do not think so.
When I put a tip down at dinner, he picks it up as soon as I walk away, takes some of
lying.
it back,
He's lying.
puts half of it down, and goes to the slot machine with the rest of my tip. It's a pretty good story, right?
All right, so yeah. So what did you bring us today?
Well, let me move this a little bit out. So when we're talking about swords that we bought on these buying trips and appraisal trips, this is one of them actually. And this was out of a batch of 300 swords. And we used to sell them to the Japanese dealers that would come over. For some reason, nobody wanted to buy this sword because somebody put it on a belt sander. So, it was kind of messed up. So I felt, well, this is kind of a nice shape. So I sent it to Japan and had it polished. And it came back, as you can see, beautiful, right? And I did some research on it, and I found inside the pocket here, there's some writing. And apparently this sword was ordered by this lord to be given to his bodyguard.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Okay.
So I have it polished, have it all done up and everything. I show my friend who saw it in the original messed up condition. I said, what do you think? He goes, wow, that's nice. How much is it? I said, you had a chance to buy it 6 months ago. And he's all, well, how much is it now? I said, no, I'm going to keep it now. So I've kept it for 30 years now. I've had this sword.
Okay. The coolest sword we ever filmed with, I think it was Denver, maybe it was another sometime, but like the sword said on the tang that it was tested on a human.
Oh yes, yes, yes. You guys had that one, you know. And,
That was like whoa.
well, I'm actually doing a seminar lecture in conjunction for NHK's 100-year anniversary at Japan House this weekend, and I'm putting out a sword that was tested on 6 bodies.
I mean, were these bodies alive at the time?
It actually says alive on the tang.
I mean, were like these criminals being executed, or some guys with
Yes.
some really bad luck?
No, they were criminals.
So how old is this sword that you're talking about right now?
It was made in 1624, and
A
it
little bit of a different time.
Yeah, I mean, well, the laws were a little different, but you know.
So what would it have been like in Japan back then? Who would have been in the ruler?
Well, as opposed to like a governor, right, that you guys have nowadays, and you would have had a lord or a daimyo, but the power is significantly stronger. Like he could end your entire family's line, you know, if he wanted to, or he can make you have the best life possible in the domain, you know. So the sword that I'm showing that was tested on was ordered by the Lord for his right-hand man as a gift. So they wanted to make sure that it was a proper Japanese samurai sword, so they had it tested for its sharpness, and then he gave it to him. It's all recorded in the family book.
That's pretty cool.
That's
So do you have access to this family book?
Yes, actually, in this last 2 trips ago to Japan, I actually went to the exact domain where the sword was from, and I went to the museum there, and I showed them, and they looked it up for me, and they found it. They go, "Oh my God, could we borrow this for an exhibition one day?" They're like, I couldn't believe it. That sword was found in Alabama.
That's kind of got to be an honor, right? To have swords that the Japanese want to borrow and use in an exhibition to show the people.
Well, as you guys know, I like to deal with special or interesting pieces, right? You know, instead of the run-of-the-mill stuff. So having sacred items. I mean, okay, we live in a time now where, like, you know, you own firearms that belong to famous people or whatnot, or have significant historical value. We can own the things of kings now. Before
Yes.
you couldn't touch that.
an amazing point. That is really, really cool. All right, next sword, the black one there.
So this is the fittings for this blade.
Oh, okay.
And then in here, it says that it was for the bodyguard. I have something very interesting to show you, though, that I also found. If you notice, it has the Christian cross.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So that's maybe 1600s as well? Or?
Yeah, and also, it was against the law to be Christian during that time,
Yeah.
Okay, so what year is that?
1600s.
Okay, 1600s.
See, I know my history. It's just a little bit, Rick.
So, what's interesting is because it was illegal, like you could get crucified and die by being a hidden Christian, when you put the handle over it, it covers it.
Okay, yeah.
That's
Because in the 1600s, I guess the emperor did allow some priests to go to Japan, correct?
yeah, so everybody that was foreign was pretty much restricted to Nagasaki as the only place they could come in, trade, and whatnot, because one of the previous warlords started trading with, Europe, and, they wanted one thing. Number one thing they wanted from Europe and stuff was
Guts.
matchlocks.
Let me see that tang right there.
This?
Yeah. No,
The
the
Suba?
Subu, I'm sorry.
So,
What is this made out of?
that's made out of very high quality iron.
Okay, and so the Subu would be placed right there for the handguard.
Just
And
like this.
it has this, what is that, like a gold inlay? Is that what the cross is?
Yep. They
And
didn't have fake gold back then.
And then this is would that be?
That's just the fuchi is here.
It's called the what?
Fuchi.
The fuchi would go over the steel and butt up against the sube, and then
Yeah.
it would cover the cross.
Yes.
Okay, and then you're basically hiding your support for Christian, but
you have it, but you're keeping it hidden, right? Because it's a personal thing, and also you don't want to die.
well, this is actually really, really cool.
Those are so rare, real ones that.
Well, I'm not going to question the authenticity of yours.
Yeah. So what happens is if you were found with this, you were crucified on the cross, and this was destroyed, and they tried to track down who made it. They tried to force you to tell you who did it for you, because they would go after them too. So this is really much more serious than people think, so to keep your faith, I guess, back then.
That's pretty. I think that's absolutely amazing. Like that it survived. I mean, yeah, it was like.
And so, was this kind of like a movement? Japanese culture was kind of moving towards Christianity slightly, or was this more of just like a small group of people that were adopting it?
Well, see, as you know, the Jesuits, tried to spread, Christianity, Catholicism, all over the world, right? But once they entered the country to do trade, they tried to sneak in the religion and tried to convert people. So the easiest people to convert were at a lower level first, of course, and then
I think maybe move the mic closer. There we go.
So they tried to move up the ladder to get more people who were more power, right? So
well, it's with every religion, like all over Europe. You know what I mean? If you were in Spain and you were a Protestant, you would be burned alive. You were a heretic. If you were in England at certain times and you were a Catholic, you were a heretic. I mean, it was just, it's the crazy, like, we're going to kill you because we both believe in the same God and everything like that. We all believe in God and everything, but the way we believe is better, so you should die.
Exactly. I mean,
it was insanity like that.
So for the Japanese to accept the foreign god they were more concerned about losing power, in a sense, right? So they felt that they better keep this thing under control, So practices like this, I also have another set that has Jesus on the cross engraved on the face of the Fuji part.
Okay. So what's the weirdest sword you have?
Oh, there's been some scary ones. So everybody always asks me, aren't you scared to always be around swords and everything like that, or touch them or handle them? I've only had 2 swords that were scary enough for me to go, whoa, I don't want this around. So one was the sword was all rusted, had a test cut on it, said live body, namakesa, where they tied a head to the guy's arm and then they cut him this way while he's standing up. And it was observed by a Tokugawa official. So I sent it to Japan, had it polished. A month later, my polisher calls me. He goes, Mike, I finished your sword, but in we call this the manuch, which is the main cutting area, there's this black shadow-like thing that doesn't come out, and it's on both sides. So it was like in the shape of a limb, in a sense, like if you were cut through a limb. So he sent it back. I looked at it and I go, whoa. That was creepy, right?
Yeah.
So I called my friend, hey, you want to buy a sword? The second one was even more scary. I get cut by this sword. And for all the swords I handle, it's a rare thing. And whatever, and I sold it to my friend. He sells it to another guy. And then we start talking about this sword. He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, man, that sword, sharp, it bit me. And I go, really? It bit me, too. And he calls up the other guy, and the other guy goes, yeah, it bit him, too. So it cut all 3 of us. And I called the guy I got it from. He says, yeah, he got cut by it, too. So that was kind of creepy that this sword cut everybody,
So is there like I'm not looking for I don't have a great word, but is there like a hierarchy of like periods of swords? Is there like can you like kind of go through the different periods of sword making a little up until like maybe the last great period of, samurai swords?
Well, we actually have right now up in Spokane at the Northwest Museum of Art is an exhibition called The Evolution of the Japanese Sword. So we have examples all the way from the origin, which is the 900s, all the way to modern day. The zenith is generally chosen at about the 11 to 1200s as the highest point of quality for Japanese swords. But arguably, there are some smiths throughout the rest of the time that are of the same level or a little better. So that's why they did test cuts. It started becoming a competition among lords. Like, oh well, Rick has one that has 4 bodies, and I want one that has 6.
Okay. All right. So because the whole evolution of Japanese swords was like they just refined their steel making process and because most people don't realize that. I mean, like back in the day, it took 2 or 3 weeks to make a couple pounds of steel.
Easily.
Yeah, I mean that's how long it would take. They would have
So how many pounds come in a full size sword?
Just for like this wakizashi alone, it would probably take a chunk of like this big.
So what's that, like 20 pounds or something? 30
More
pounds?
because it's actually condensed, right? So that's close to like.
No, so but it would take weeks and weeks to make the steel, and then they discovered the process of folding the steel, and so, I mean, back in the day, I mean, it would take months to make a sword.
And so is there anybody that can replicate that process today?
I know 2 people who are very good at it in Japan today.
And do they do it the old way, the traditional way?
100%.
So what's that entail, like, for them?
Well, they're saved by the point of making the actual steel or the iron. So they're gifted that from the Japanese Sword Museum. So there's different layers and grade levels, A, B, C, D, right? Just like beef, Wagyu, A5 Wagyu, right? It's the best. Well, A-class Tamahagan is the best iron, right? So that goes to you because you're the highest ranking swordsmith. B level goes to you, you're his student, and so on down the line. So they don't want to waste the A grade stuff, so they only give it to the top makers. And then from that point, they can start producing the sword without having to worry about making the iron, in that sense. So, 33,000 layers plus tempering will take now about a month every day.
It seems kind of fast, actually.
Yeah, but every day you got to think about it. Every day, how many hours a day? You're really working on this.
And this is the process. Like you have to stay on schedule. Like say if you were to take a couple days off, would that degrade the quality of the craftsmanship?
No, but it would just lengthen the time to create the actual final product. So
yeah, because I like my time off. That's all.
Okay, well, no, once you heat up the steel and start folding it, you just can't stop in the middle of the day. You just have to keep on.
Well, you got to remember, too, these guys are true craftsmen, right? So they have pride and they enjoy what they're doing. It's a challenge. So, I'm going to do this one really good this time, and they just get into it. So they're just focused. So they may not even eat.
Okay, so I mean, it's a modern sword, but from like these modern sword masters, how much does a sword cost? For one of those guys?
And how do you get one?
Yeah, well, if it's from my friend Mr. Yoshiharu Yoshindo, he's very famous, and Tokyo Prefecture National Treasure, you would have to get in line, per se.
Okay.
Because there is a waiting list of about 3 years, I believe. And once he can work on it, he'll do it in a month for you. And the minimum price, if it's nothing custom, is about $50,000.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's knife makers in the United States, so I know there's like a 5-year waiting list, like Randall Knives and stuff like that. But there's not near that price.
Well, if they become what's called living national treasure, then the price doubles.
Okay.
So, what else do you got going on?
Well, I bought this one interesting piece here, which you handled. So if you notice, it has a lot of little bumps all over it. Right?
Okay.
So and it goes here. This is called Oni Nanako. Oni means demon. Nanako is the spikes that are on it. So samurai being
Let me
samurai.
see this piece. I'm sorry to cut you off. This is called the fuchi. This is the fuchi, and this is the part that rests up between the.
It's the front part of the handle, and right against the suba.
Okay, so this covers the steel and goes down to the suba.
So when you grip, so sometimes samurai are a little scared or nervous before they go into battle. the idea behind this is they would grip it so hard it would cause pain. So that would make you forget your fear. And in some cases, some are so sharp they'll draw blood.
Do you know what this says on it? Because I see some writing on this.
Yeah, that's the person who made it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a rare set because usually they don't come signed. And, this is in my collection because it's a unique piece, right? And the story behind it. So fear is always the warrior's greatest enemy, right? You're over yourself. So generals were very smart who became, victorious. 10,000 people against 20,000 people, and everybody's going, oh, we're going to kind of lose.
Yeah.
So they're all nervous, and your frontline guys are, okay. And then so you go, turn around, undo your sandals, untie them, then tie them back up. Keep doing that until I tell you to stop. So they all were constantly focused on just doing that. Then it's time to attack. Get up, go now. So they don't even have time to think,
Okay, so that's
My alarm, I think. Yeah. I thought it was off. All right. Well, my phone's ringing, so sorry about that.
That's okay. This is kind of cool, though, right?
And usually you complain about my phone.
I don't know why. I think my alarm must be set. It's time to feed Pinky. What can I say?
So,
do you remember when we did that work with Dana White?
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty fun.
Well, I was kind of sad because I wanted to buy the sword he bought.
But he's like an avid collector. You got to at least feel like
I know, but
happy it went.
he's got some amazing stuff in his office.
Well,
Tell me about that sword a little. Tell us, the audience, what you remember.
Well, I remember it was really weird because the lady said somebody told her it beheaded Christians, and then it didn't say anything like that on the tang. So whoever told her that was a bunch of malarkey, right? And then it was actually, there was this major first revolutionary battle in the 1800s where the government and the rebellious clan went at it. And they used to be close. So this guy gave that guy his one character of his name to use in his name. So when he became rebellious, he basically said, give me back my name, don't use it anymore. And this guy basically stuck the finger at him. So that's what that sword actually says.
I mean, that might be what happens when I when I open up my own pawn shop and I call it Chumlee's world famous gold and silver pawn shop.
I'm not even going to comment on that. So are you going to write a book or anything?
My teacher wants me to write a book, and I've been thinking I don't want to write a book that there are like 10 of the same sword books out there. So I'm going to try to write something a little bit more useful, like how to collect Japanese swords that people could actually use.
Yeah, it could be like a hybrid book. You could talk about swords, some great swords, how to collect swords.
Well, what would your advice be to give someone like me who I love swords and, I always told you, hey, Mike, I want to buy a sword. And you told me for years, Chum, when the right one comes in at a good price, I'll get it to you. And then, 6 or 7 years into our relationship, you show up one day and you big smile on your face. No, I had no idea. You're like, Chum, I got the sword for you. And then, so I had my first sword in my collection. I have it. It sits in my house. It's beautiful. Everyone always asks me about it. But I still don't know, how to take a step if I wanted to get a sword myself without you. What could I do to start learning about how to collect swords?
Well, that's the thing. Now, the problem is the internet's a good place and a bad place, as we all know, right?
Yes.
I've done stuff for History Channel where they asked me, is this usable material? And I said, let me guess, you got it from the internet, because they had somebody just research and copy whatever. And I go, that's not correct. So I said, okay. So internet is dangerous per se. So I could recommend you some books that are legitimate to start reading, and you actually have a sword. So now you could utilize the actual object with the books, right? And that's the best way to learn.
So could you give us a name of one book right now if you were to say, hey, you want to get into learning about swords, this would be the best book to start with?
Well, it'd be like probably the Connoisseur's Book of Japanese Swords. That one is very, very easy to understand, and it gives a lot of background, and you actually have a sword that matches something in there.
Yeah, I got to send you some pictures of my sword because I never wrote down the information, and people are always asking me about it. And
Well,
I don't know. Well, maybe next time you're in town, you can stop by, and then I'll take you out to Indo's, and we'll have some nice traditional dinner afterwards.
that's the hook is the sushi. So
Well, Indo's is more traditional. They do have sushi, but let me tell you, you will appreciate it. He makes the best tofu I've ever had in my
oh,
life.
I love homemade.
So
tofu.
good. Oh,
You
yeah,
know, so
it's beautiful.
no, I'm
So-
always game
so-
anyway.
So there might be a book in the future. I think you
Yes.
should do it.
You know, the thing is that people don't really read books, so I guess you would have to do a book and a PDF or something that people read on
Well,
iPad.
no, it's the great thing
or-
nowadays. I mean, if you make a book, you can always get it. You can go to the online play. There's so many places where they get, they make the audio version, the PDF
Yeah.
version, everything else like that. So
I would recommend the audio version.
Oh,
I listen to so many audiobooks. Probably, I mean, for me, I listen to at least 20 a year minimum, maybe even 50 some years. But I would recommend that when you do make a book, because I know it's going to happen, you definitely do an audio version. And no matter what anyone tells you, you read it in your voice because the experience is going to be so much better hearing the lessons from you, a voice that people are already familiar with and trust. I always like listening to an audiobook that is actually read by the author.
oh, that makes
So, I
sense.
mean, I generally like to read books, but like people process information differently. So like some people really, that's why audiobooks are doing so well now because you can just download them. It's so quick. It's but some people process audiobooks way better than reading books.
Yeah, some
so
people
it's a little
like-
bit of everything. Yeah.
I can't focus when I actually read. I focus better when I'm listening.
Because some people it's almost like a lecture in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So I read your book, the early book.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I wrote
Did you
that.
get it in the discount aisle at the airport? I mean, I saw it there one time.
It was not in the discount aisle at the airport.
It was on the bottom shelf and it said 75% off.
It did not.
All right, well, that's the story I want to remember.
Well, the funniest thing is people when the book came out, the first thing they would ask me is when they see me is, "Hey, did you ever read the book?" And I'm going, at the time, not yet. And then I actually read the book, and then yes, I did read the book. Because it was like expected of me to read the book. It was so
Yeah.
funny. One thing I like to say that was really hilarious is when you guys went to Japan one time, or that one time you went to see my friend's sword shop in Ginza. He goes, "Hey, the Pawn Star guys," he sent me a thing, came by. And I go, "Yeah." And then he sent me the article. And I go, "Oh," I wrote back, "It's PAWN, not PORN."
Oh, that's good.
That's funny.
It was so hilarious to write that. The response back was the surprise face, like, emoji. I was like, oh.
So if somebody wanted to maybe contact you, they have a sword, they found it in a basement, they got it at a garage sale, they just want to get an idea of, what it is, or if you could look at it, or maybe they're in another part of the country, you could suggest someone. How could they get in touch with you, or do you have a way they could?
Yeah, so nowadays, because of the internet, people always do searching, right? And eventually my name pops up. And I just got contacted by somebody who actually might have a very important sword. So we're trying to figure out, he's all the way on the East Coast, so I may fly out there actually to go
It's
see
so
the
much
sword.
easier now, though. I mean, like,
So
you
they
know,
just Google Mike Yamasaki and they'll find your...
okay. Yeah, I mean, it's so much easier. Remember back in the day where like someone had to send you a photograph?
Or they tried faxing. Oh my
Yeah,
god!
oh, yeah.
I get this black thing of a sword. Like
Yeah, because back in the, I mean, like just like 30 years ago, like it's like, there was no 25 years ago, they couldn't just text you. I mean, nowadays you just text a picture. I mean, the technology.
Oh
thing
no, it was
just
so
makes
quick,
much easier.
right? The guy sends me the pictures, and I'm like, "Oh, you got something interesting, right?" But before, "Oh, I mailed you." I get a message on my phone, home phone. "I mailed you pictures," and then I get these horrible Polaroid pictures. I mean, oh my god, they're trying to, they're trying to get close without a macro lens, and it's just a blob of blur, and then I get the shot from 25 feet away.
Yeah.
Well, we have to appraise technology in that.
Yeah.
Now we can take a picture with our phone, send it to you, and you can pretty much, blow it up and zoom in there with pretty good
Well,
quality.
it's the same for me because I mean, I used literally for diamonds. We used to use like a $12,000 microscope to look at diamonds and everything. Now there's like digital ones that cost like less than $1,000 that gives you a 4K screen and everything
Yeah,
else.
I
Like,
mean-
it's amazing.
You could blow it up like as big
Yeah.
as you want. It's really amazing.
So, do you remember what year you started working with us for Pawn Stars?
It was about 15 years ago.
Yeah, because you're one of our. We have a few experts that are longest running. You know, MHP is obviously our most longest running because he was on from the
Right,
First
early,
episode.
right,
from
right
the
after
first
that.
episode. But yeah, you've been here almost the entire ride, I think.
I think I'm right after him. I think.
I think like 2000.
God.
At
You
least,
know,
I mean, 2010.
That says a lot because we have had to go through different experts over time, you know, and there's only a handful that have lasted the time. You, Mark, Rebecca.
Oh yeah, Rebecca.
And,
yeah.
I'm sure I'm missing someone. Even Steve Grad's been around forever, but we had an autograph guy before him, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, I just wanted to thank you for always, you know, being so reliable, knowing your stuff, and what
And
I
not-
like about working with you is you do teach me something every time, and I feel like the audience learns a little something new every time.
And I'm not going to rat nobody out, but sometimes we have a few experts that act a little diva-ish, and you never have.
Well, I mean, they're just competing with you.
One of the funniest early episodes I remember was when I returned the sword to you after we restored it, and I did the paper, and I went, well, no, one of you guys asked, is it sharp, you know, like jokingly, and I got the paper out, and I went, "Ch," and then all three of you guys were, and nobody said anything, and then somebody goes, say something, you know. That was so funny because everyone was frozen, like, whoa, you know, it was that sharp.
Yeah, we've definitely had some good times over the years, and
You know,
I
I've
hope we can do more.
never once regretted doing this. You know, I enjoy it immensely, and the friendship we have, it's great. And you know, the one time I got to take my son to the Christmas party was fantastic, and it was fun. And I always feel welcome here too.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, like it's it's the one cool thing about Pawn Stars is it's kind of like a little family.
It
I mean,
is.
like there's never any drama. Everyone's always happy. Like everyone just tries to have a good time, and it's I think that's one of the reasons why the show's so successful because like we are really friends with all the experts, and like we actually hang out a little bit every once in a while, and like it's just a fun show.
So
And
I actually have one more question for you that I really want to ask, but I got to preface it first. Rick didn't want to have you on the podcast today. I really, really pushed for it. So if you were coming in to film and you had to choose Rick or Chum, who would it be? Just remember, Rick didn't want you here today.
I did not. Why would you say that? Yeah, like
I
talk
do.
about a drama queen.
I do want to say something. I've been asked and told through the years by semi-haters and whatnot. They're like, it's a scripted show and all this and that. And I said, I don't do my appraisals that way.
Yeah.
I do live appraisals.
Yeah.
And I got mad. So one year at the Florida show, I said, I'll appraise any show in front of everybody, any sword. You bring it in, and we'll do it live right there. And I'll invite two other guys to challenge my appraisal. So I did it, and I said, this is how we do it on the show.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because we have addressed this recently, and people do ask, like, is the show scripted or fake? And my answer is, like, it's literally as real as you can get. Everything's happening live. Obviously, there's production involved. It takes longer to film. There's editing involved. But other than the fact of them scheduling an item to come in, because there's so many cool items that want to come in, it's what you see is what you get. No one tells us what to say. There's no lines. There's no rehearsals.
Yeah, I
know.
tell them, I go, do you think I could memorize lines? I go, are you kidding
It'd be
me?
so much harder if we had to memorize something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like no, I mean like there's kind of a slightly viral video of Adam. The guy's name is Adam. I forget his name, but he's kind of a picker of rare books, and he's probably been on the show 10 times, and he brings in like rare books and stuff that he finds. And it sort of like you go out and find swords. He goes out and finds rare books, and he did a great video. He goes like, "Is Pawn Stars real?" He goes, "As real it could be," because literally, I am negotiating right in front of him, and it is real. It is 100% real. And sometimes we make a deal, and sometimes we don't make a deal, and sometimes Rick surprises me, and like he goes like, sometimes you got to redo stuff because the camera angles and stuff like that. But it's a real show. But I really want to thank you for coming here. You're absolutely amazing. Like I said, like, you know, I mean, you're probably the second oldest expert on the show.
Yeah,
not in age, but like been on the show that long. And you're an incredible guy. And you know, you're this. If not the smartest guy in the world on swords, definitely the smartest guy in the United States.
All right. Well, I don't know if this is right, Mike, but on the gaishimasu, I don't know if it makes sense for this, but
Well, in a way it does. So yes. So
it's been a pleasure to have you.
Did you just say something bad about me?
No, I was just trying to thank him for coming in. And,
yeah,
You know,
he actually very good about Japanese. I give Chum credit.
I
for
don't
that,
know if it
yeah.
actually fit this setting, but it's the best I could do to show my appreciation.
So foreign
for it.
languages for me are really hard because I just have a hard time hearing it. So I'm just going to hear it wrong anyway.
Well, I just hope we can continue our friendship and our relationship.
Okay. So how do you say you're absolutely amazing in Japanese?
No, don't need to say
So
that.
what would be the proper way for me to thank
Well, no,
you
I
for
want
this?
you to say that to me.
So just リクさんね、すごい偉い人だね。
Oh, sugoi. Yeah.
All right, dude. Like, you're absolutely amazing. Thanks for coming in. And all right, you know, I'll be seeing you soon because like, unlike this, you know, you just don't come on the show. We actually do business together all the
Here,
time.
I'm going to show you how to close a show one time. Watch like this. Mike, it's been amazing as always. We've had so many good memories over the years. It was great to sit down here with you and Rick and cap it off. Until next time, I'll see you again.
This is Pawn After Dark.